Larius more.
And did you have anyone else living there with you at that time?
No, sir.
Was there another? Did you have another son who lived with you?
No, I had another son that, frequent, would come over, but he didn't reside there, no, sir.
Okay. That night that you first met Miss Bedwell, was your other son there as well?
Yes, he was there.
And what's his name, ma'am?
Isaiah Keel.
And do you recall approximately what time it was that you met Miss Bedwell?
It was like 10 o'clock, something like that, when I got back. And
At
she
night?
was there.
At night or in the morning?
At night.
Okay.
Yes.
Was anyone with Miss Bedwell?
Her and the baby, Emmanuel, was there.
Okay. Did you have an opportunity that night to interact with the baby?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
And tell us about that, ma'am. How did you interact with Emmanuel?
Oh, Jesus. Okay. He was in his little car seat, and he was smiling. I picked him up because I love babies, and I picked him up and played with him for, a few seconds and put him down, and then I had left off. So, I played with him for about 10, 15 minutes.
And when you played with the baby, did he appear to be okay? Did there appear to be anything wrong with him?
No, sir. He was smiling. He was smiling.
Did he appear to have any injuries at that time?
No, sir.
And, ma'am, what did you do that night?
That night, I had left and came back. When I came back home, it was like around 12, and she was still there with the baby. And at that time, my son, he asked me.
Without telling us what anyone else might have said to you, ma'am, you went out somewhere and came back later.
Right. No one told me anything.
And Miss Bedwell was still there, and the baby was still there?
Right, correct.
Were you asked at some point, or did you offer to take Miss Bedwell home?
Yes, sir, I did.
And do you recall approximately what time was that?
It was like between 1 and 2, like.
And did you eventually take her home?
Yes, sir, I did.
And who went with you?
Me and my son, Larius.
And
the baby. And the baby.
And the baby?
Mm-hmm. Yes,
okay.
sir.
Do you recall where you took Ms. Bedwell?
It's on 15th. I don't know the name of apartments, but I know it was on 15th Street.
Had you ever been to this apartment complex before, ma'am?
No, sir, I hadn't.
How long did it take you to drive from your apartment to where Ms. Bedwell lived?
About like 5 minutes, like 5, 6 minutes at the most. Because I live off of 22nd and she lives on 15th, so it's like right around the corner type thing.
And once you got to Ms. Bedwell's apartment complex, what happened?
I told my son because, I wanted him to be a gentleman and not just let them get out and go, in the house. I told him to make sure that they get in the house, to walk them to the door. So I stayed in the car and I shined my lights so they can, be able to see to get inside the house with the key because it was so dark. So I turned the bright lights on so they can see to get in the house.
And from where you were parked, ma'am, were you able to see the door to Ms. Bedwell's apartment?
Well, I couldn't, how can I describe it? I couldn't actually physically see the door. I could just see, because it was, the way the apartments are, they're like facing each other. But it's, it's, how can I put it?
That's okay. If you don't remember, that's fine, ma'am. Did you observe Larius walk to the apartment, toward the apartment with Ms. Bedwell?
Yes, I did. Yes, sir.
And what about the baby?
Yes, he was carrying the baby.
And was the baby still in the car seat, or did he have the baby in his arms? Do you recall?
No, he was still in the car seat.
And were you able to tell whether or not your son went into the apartment?
Yes, he went in. They both went in. And then, yes, sir.
And how long was your son in the apartment, ma'am?
Not long. I'd say like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, not even that long.
And did he come back to the car?
Yes, sir, he did.
And what happened once your son got back to the car?
We left. We went back home.
You went back home?
Yes, sir.
Yes, the witness, Your Honor.
Questions, Josh?
Good afternoon, Ms. Arnold.
Hi, good afternoon, sir.
Hi, thank you. Before you met Miss Bedwell, that evening that you met her, had you heard about her?
No, sir, I hadn't heard anything about it.
At the time that you met Miss Bedwell, or on that day, were you aware of whether or not your son Larius was in a relationship or dating anybody?
No.
He was not?
No, sir.
And
Excuse me. Yes, if you were aware, did you say yes, no, he was not, or no, you're not aware?
No, I'm saying no, I wasn't, no.
just to be clear for the record, you weren't aware of him being in a relationship with anybody else?
Right, correct.
Before you met her at your home, it's in Silver Palms?
Yes, several times.
And Silver Palms is where she was when you first met her?
Correct.
But you never heard of her before?
No, sir.
You'd never heard of Larius referred to either Jasmine or maybe by a nickname of Jazz or anything of that nature, or Miss Bedwell?
No, sir.
About what time was it when you first met her?
Around 10 when I got to the house.
Around 10 p.m. at night?
Yes, sir.
And when you came back to the house at 10 p.m. that night, did you come back by yourself or did you come back with someone else?
I came back by myself.
Do you remember where you had been that night?
No, sir. I can't remember.
Do you remember previously saying that you'd been out with an ex-boyfriend to go to a movie?
Oh, yeah, but that's when I left. After 10, I had left and when they got him, yeah.
So at 10 o'clock...
We didn't make it to the movie, though.
Okay.
Okay.
I just want to understand the timeline here. When you came home at 10 o'clock, where were you coming home from?
I was coming home from my sister's house. I went to check up on her house.
Okay. And when is it that you had left to go to your sister's house? Do you recall?
I wasn't there that long because she was out of town, so I just made sure her door, just went in and checked everything and came out. So.
Do you know if it was less than an hour?
Yeah, less than 30 minutes.
When you had left to go to your sister's house to check on it, was Larius at your house?
Yes, sir, they were there.
And was Jasmine Bedwell there at your house?
When I got back, she was there.
Okay, so when you left, she was not?
Right.
And you recall leaving at about 10 o'clock?
Right.
So it would have been sometime between the time you left and 10 o'clock that she arrived?
No, she was there when I got there.
I understand that. You don't know when she got there. You know that it was after you left to check on your sister's house, and obviously before you got back at 10 o'clock.
Right, well, yes.
Okay, well, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth. I'm just trying to understand how long you had been gone to go to your sister's house before you returned home.
It wasn't that long. I mean, not even 30 minutes, like I stated.
So is it fair for me to presume, therefore, that Jasmine must have arrived at the house someplace between 9:30 p.m. and 10 p.m.? Is that correct?
I don't know what time Jasmine got in there. Because I was already out.
Okay. When had you left from your house?
That evening.
At what time?
I don't know. It was early in that evening, around 2. I wasn't, I don't know. I wasn't home, so.
It was 2 p.m. in the afternoon?
Yes, sir.
So you left at 2 p.m. in the afternoon, and you didn't return until 10 p.m. Is that correct?
Right, about 10, yes.
You were out of your house for 8 hours.
Yeah, almost, yes.
So therefore, you don't know what time after 2 p.m. and before 10 p.m. that Miss Bedwell arrived at the house.
Exactly.
Because you weren't there.
Right, exactly.
And when you got back there at 10 p.m., she was there.
Exactly, yes, sir.
And when you got there, where was Miss Bedwell in your house? In your living room, in the kitchen? Where
Yes, she was in the living room.
And who else was there with her?
My sons, both of my sons were there.
That would be Isaiah and Ladarius.
Larius, yes, sir.
And the baby was there.
Yes, sir.
Did you know the name of the baby that night?
Yeah, I was told it, yeah. I was told it, Emmanuel.
Okay, so
Yes.
Jasmine was there, Emmanuel, Ladarius, and Isaiah.
Yes, correct.
And no one else was there?
No, sir.
When you got there at 10 o'clock, what did you do?
I played with him because I noticed him on the, Jesus. You have to excuse me because he was smiling and he had this, he was just a happy baby.
I'm just trying to determine how long was it until you left after you came back? You got back at about 10 o'clock.
Yes.
You played with the baby and you left again when?
I left and then when I returned back around 12.
I know. I'm sorry, I want to know, after 10 o'clock, how long was it until you left?
Right, I left and I came, after 10 I returned back around 12.
I know you got back at 12.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure how long after 10 o'clock it was that you left.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I apologize. I wasn't there that long. I wasn't home for less than an hour. I wasn't home.
So before 11 p.m. you had left.
Right, correct.
During the time between 10 p.m. and 11 p.m. when you were there, did Jasmine Bedwell ever leave?
No, sir.
Did you ever see her out of the presence of the baby? That she went someplace and the baby stayed there?
No.
The whole time you were there until you left, Jasmine Bedwell was still there.
Yeah, she was there, yeah.
And you believe it was before 11 p.m. when you left?
Right, correct.
When you left before 11 p.m., Jasmine was still there? Yes.
And Isaiah.
And Isaiah, and Emmanuel,
Right.
and Ladarius.
Yes.
And what was your reason for leaving a little before 11 o'clock?
To go get my friend.
And who was your friend?
Oh, God.
I don't
His
know.
name was Richie.
And Richard, your ex-boyfriend?
No, he was just friends.
He
We
was a
wasn't
friend.
in a relationship or anything.
Okay. And what were you going out to do at 10 o'clock? Or 11 o'clock, I'm
We
sorry.
were going to go to the movies.
At 11 p.m.
No. That's what I'm saying. I was late going to get him, so we didn't go to the movies. We just rode around and went out to eat and returned back home.
Do you remember having previously said that you would plan to go to the movies?
Yes, I did. Me and him, not, to my children.
Okay. Where did you go to eat? Do you remember?
Yes, it was McDonald's,
Which McDonald's?
the one on Fletcher and 22nd.
And then you returned to the house at about what time?
It was around 12.
So you were gone about an hour, from somewhere near 11 o'clock
Right.
until about 12 o'clock.
Correct, yes, sir.
When you got back at 12 o'clock, was Jasmine Bedwell still there?
Yes, sir, she was.
Where was she?
She was in the room.
In the living room?
Yeah, in the living room, and then,
Was Emmanuel still there?
yes, he was. Yes,
Was your son Ladarius there?
yes, sir.
And Isaiah?
Yes, sir.
They were all still there.
Yes, sir.
And what did they appear to be doing?
It was just sitting around watching a movie, watching TV.
And after you got back at around 12 o'clock, what did you do?
I went in my room, and that's when, around 1, I stayed home. Around 1, my son came and knocked on the door, my room door, and he asked me, he asked me, he said, well, Jasmine's ready to go home. And I was saying that they were going to walk. He told me they were going to walk home. And I told him no, I wasn't going to allow him and her and the baby to walk home that time of morning in the dark like that with the baby.
At that time at 1 o'clock, were you aware of the fact that after arriving at your house, that Jasmine had left? Were
No.
you aware of that?
No, sir.
So if she'd left, that would have been during the time you were gone?
Right, because I only seen her a few minutes, yes, sir.
Okay. And as far as you know, she was there all the times when you were at the house, until you
Right.
left to take her home?
Right.
Okay. And when you left to take her home, was Isaiah still there?
No, he wasn't there.
When had he left?
His fiance came and picked him up.
About what time?
Just before 12, like around 12 something.
I thought you had gotten back around 12 o'clock.
Yeah, but Isaiah left.
Were you there when he left?
Yeah, I was there when he left, when I got home at 12.
So that was a little before 12. Is that what you just said?
It was around, right, it was between 12 and 1.
Okay.
But he left around, yes, the beginning of around 12.
So you came back between 12 and 1 sometime, and Isaiah left shortly after the time you got there.
Right,
So that would be closer to 12 than to 1.
right, correct.
And then you went in your room.
Right,
And then sometime later, your son Larius came and knocked on the door saying he was going to walk Miss Bedwell home.
yes.
And you didn't think that was a good idea.
No, it was not.
Okay, so then what happened next?
And then I was telling her, I told my son, because she said she had to go home. And I told him, I said, well, won't she wait until, in the morning, and I'll take them home. It's just a couple more hours. But she was saying that the baby needed Pampers. So I drove them home. I drove her and Emmanuel home.
Okay. Did you see if she had a diaper bag with her?
No, I didn't notice the diaper bag.
In the time that you had seen the baby, had you ever seen Miss Bedwell feeding her baby or nursing her baby, either one?
No, sir.
Do you know if she had had a bottle at the house with her? Did you ever see a bottle there?
I didn't notice a bottle. I noticed a pacifier, but I didn't notice a bottle.
Had your son Larius, to your knowledge, ever taken care of a baby before?
Oh, yes, yes.
And
Mhm.
whose baby would he have been taking care of?
Oh, my God. His nephews, he has 2 kids of his own, so.
And at that time, back in 2009, how old would his children have been?
His fiance, she was pregnant at the time with his first child, so. But my oldest son, his child was already born.
So Larius wasn't the father of any children in 2009.
Right, correct.
He's had 2 children since then.
Yes, sir.
So you've seen him taking care of children since then.
Oh, yes, yes.
But
And
before-
before then,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. And before that, his brother's children.
right.
Silver Palms is located sort of behind the Veterans Hospital, is that right?
Yes, sir, yes.
And near 127th?
Yeah, yes, you're correct. Yes.
The entranceway into Silver Palms, is that off of 127th or off of 131st?
The entrance is off 131st Street.
So if you were going to your house, you'd come in off of Fletcher and come down to 131st to where your house was.
Right, correct.
And that night when you left your apartment, how did you drive to the apartment where Jasmine lived?
When I came out of my apartment, I made a left. I took 131st straight down to 15th, and she directed me to make another left, which I did. And when I gotten down closer, I guess, to her apartment, I made a right-hand turn into her apartment. off 15th Street.
When you pulled into the parking lot, did you notice whether there were other cars in the parking lot? I know it was the middle of the night.
Yeah, I noticed it wasn't that many cars, and I was saying to myself, wow, there's no cars, do people live here? That's what my first, mind was saying. It was very few cars.
Did you see anybody out in the parking lot, sitting in a car or standing in the parking lot in any way?
No, sir, I did not.
In this parking lot that we're talking about, I believe at the Maribel Apartments, there's two lots, one towards 15th Street and one in the direction towards where Nebraska is. Would that be the opposite direction, Nebraska?
No, she lived right in the front of 15th.
So the parking lot that you're talking about is the parking lot on the 15th Street side?
Yes, sir. Yes.
And as soon as you pulled into the parking lot, were there multiple buildings at the apartment complex?
Yes, so it was pretty much a lot when I made the right turn inside, because she lived all the way to the end. When I made the right and then make another right, so she lived at the end on the end part.
You lived towards the end where you first pulled into the parking lot? Or did you have to drive through the parking lot?
Right, I had to come through, yes, and go down.
Did you pull into a space, or did you just park in the parking lot?
No, I pulled where the entrance is. Like, I can't describe it if I
Let me show you, if I may.
okay.
This is exhibit number 27 from the Office of the State Attorney.
Yes, sir.
That's fine, that's fine.
If I show you this picture,
Yes,
this
sir.
is looking down.
Yes,
This
sir.
is north. 127th is at this end. Fletcher would be at the top.
Okay.
Fowler would be at the bottom.
Okay.
And this is 15th Street.
Right. Yes, sir.
And this is a picture looking down on the top of the apartment complex where this occurred.
Yes, sir.
Can you tell by looking at this what we're talking about? Can
Yes,
you tell
sir.
which apartment would have been Miss Bedwell? You can stand up.
I don't know which. I was parked like right here, right there, because the light, like, if you look down, it's.
She's scratching the microphone.
Oh, I'm sorry. If you look down, like it's open area here.
Open area through between these buildings.
Yes, sir.
So you parked your vehicle where you could see down the open area.
Right, correct.
Had you pulled into the parking lot at this end, or had you come down and pulled back in the parking lot?
Yeah, when I made a right, I made another right and came.
And that's because the main entrance to the parking area is down here in the center of the parking lot.
Correct.
Is that right?
Yes, sir.
So you came down 131st,
Right.
which is up here,
Uh-huh,
and you came down 15th Street
uh-huh.
to the main entrance,
Correct,
and you made a right into the parking lot, and then a right to go back to the top of the parking lot.
correct.
That's
Yes,
what
sir.
she told you to do?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And you parked your car so you could see down between these two buildings.
Yes, sir. Where they can, see to get in the house.
And you would park so that your light would shine between the buildings?
Yes,
Were your lights on or your lights off?
they were on. I put the brights on.
You specifically put the brights on
Yes, sir.
so that the light would shine down between the buildings.
Yes, yes.
So from where you were sitting in the parking lot, could you see Larius and Miss Bedwell all the way to whatever door they went to?
Yes, I can see. Yes, sir.
And how many apartments down was that? Do you recall?
I'm not sure. I know they didn't walk too far, so I would say like the second or the third.
And it was on the right-hand side as they walked down the sidewalk?
Yes, sir.
And was it on the first floor or the second floor?
It was on the first floor downstairs.
And could you see Larius all the way to where he walked to the apartment?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And he was
Yes,
carrying
sir.
the baby?
Yes, sir.
And did he go inside?
Yes, sir. he
How
did.
long was he inside?
A few seconds, just enough to go in, and he came back out.
When you say a few seconds or a few minutes, did you see him go inside, both of them?
Yeah, I seen her open the door with her key, and she went in first, and then Larius went in behind her, and then Larius came out.
Okay, and this is about the second or third apartment down as we looked at it on the picture here.
Yes, sir.
When Ladarius and Miss Bedwell were going into the apartment, they just walked at a normal speed? They weren't running?
No,
They
sir.
just walked normal?
Yes, sir.
And you saw him go in and he was inside for a couple of minutes?
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't, I wouldn't even say a minute, to be honest with you. He wasn't even there that long.
Okay. And then when you saw him come out, was he alone?
Yes, sir.
Did you see Miss Bedwell walk outside with him as he was leaving?
No, sir, she did not.
When you saw him come out, you saw the door close?
Well, I couldn't see. From where I was, I can't see if the door opened or closed. I can't see.
But you didn't see anybody come out?
No, sir.
And when your son came out, did he just walk back to the car
Yes, sir.
at a normal pace?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
He wasn't running?
No.
And so he just walked back the distance from where he was in the apartment to where you were in the parking lot?
Correct. Yes, sir.
And did he get in, what part of the car did he get into, the front passenger?
Yes, he got me.
Going over there, was he in the front seat or the back seat?
He was in the back.
And was the baby in the front seat or the back?
He was in the back.
And where was Jasmine?
She was in the back.
She was in the back seat?
Uh-huh.
You remember her riding in the back?
Yes, yes.
Before you had gone to take them back, did you look at the baby anymore, or just earlier when you had played with the baby when you first saw
yeah,
him?
I did. Before they got in the car, I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did the baby look like he was awake or asleep?
He was awake.
How do you know he was awake?
Because I looked at him.
Was he making any noise? Crying, laughing, saying, making any noises at all?
No, he was just looking.
After Ladarius got back in the car, what happened next?
We left and went to not Sunoco, but a Citgo gas station, got a gallon of tea and went home.
Okay, you got a gallon of tea at Citgo and then you went home.
Yes.
You and Ladarius did.
Yes.
Did you ever see Jasmine Fenwell again?
No, not in.
You ran into her at the courthouse one time, but other than that, did you ever see her again?
No, well, at Walmart, she works there. I've seen her there one time.
You've seen her at Walmart.
Yes.
And did you ever see her with your son again after that?
No, sir.
Do you have reason to believe that your son may have seen her?
No.
Were you aware of him going to the funeral?
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I was aware he went to the funeral.
And
yes,
were you
sir.
aware of the fact that he saw Jasmine at his grandmother's house?
Yeah, yes. I was aware of that.
So he did see her after that.
Yes.
And about how many times are you aware that he actually saw Jasmine again?
I don't know. I only know of the 2 times. When the worker, took her to my mom's house. So that's how she got there.
A worker took Jasmine to your mom's house.
Correct.
Why did that, when you say worker, a caseworker for Jasmine?
I have no idea, sir.
Okay. Somebody.
Yeah.
How would Jasmine have met your mother?
She never did meet my mother. My mom was just, she was concerned, and, she's in her 60s, so she was heartfelt, and she wanted to, to talk to Jasmine,
So
to
your
give
mom,
her, to,
sorry.
I'm sorry, to be, to be there for her, nurture her.
So somehow your mother met Jasmine.
Right.
And you believe that Ladarius was with your mother when she met Jasmine?
I'm not sure.
You don't know?
I don't know.
Well, but you know that they met with each other.
Right, I was told that, yes, sir.
And you know that that Ladarius went to the funeral for the baby?
Yes, sir.
And are you aware that a caseworker took him there?
Yes, sir.
And we can presume that he saw Jasmine there.
At the funeral, yes, sir.
Was she ever back at your house again?
No, sir.
Your son ultimately graduated from tech school as an electrician.
Yes, sir.
Do you remember there being a graduation ceremony for your son?
Yes, sir.
Do you remember Jasmine being at that graduation ceremony for your son?
No. Because he was there with his girlfriend, so no, I don't remember that.
Do you remember having previously said that Miss Bedwell came to your son's graduation?
No, I don't remember that.
Do you remember a deposition being taken in this case, that deposition having been taken on the 9th day of November 2010 over at my office, and present there was me and somebody from the state attorney's office, and a conversation occurring at that time with regards to how many times or how often your son saw Jasmine after the night of that you had taken them back to the apartment. Do you recall being present for a deposition at that time?
I did one deposition.
You do remember that?
One, yes. I do
And
remember one.
you recall being asked at that deposition if Larius had remained friends with Jasmine, and us talking about that issue then?
Page in line, please.
Yes. Just ask me first if she remembers. Do you remember having that question asked?
Well, I would like to.
That's fine, that's fine. Referring to page 34 of the deposition, referring to page, beginning at line 8 of that deposition, if I may approach, Your Honor. Show a copy of that deposition to you, referring to page 38 of a copy of a deposition that was taken on Tuesday, November 9th, 2010, with regards to this matter. Have you had a chance to review this deposition before testifying here today?
Yeah,
Okay. And referring to line 8 of this deposition on page 34, you recall a question being asked, do you know if Larius had remained friends with Jasmine? And an answer being given, I know I seen her when he graduated from electrician school, so I think somehow she got in contact and was wishing him, telling him congratulations, that's about it. Do you recall that?
okay, yes, sir.
And was she present at the time of the graduation?
That's what I'm saying. I didn't physically see her there.
But you know that they were still in contact at that time.
Yeah.
And about how long after this incident was it until your son graduated from electrician school? I don't know, you probably don't know the exact date, but about how long? Weeks, months? What would it have been?
Months.
Months later.
Yeah, a lot of months later.
I have no additional questions. Thank you, Your Honor.
Can you redirect?
No, Your Honor.
Will this witness be released?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Peacock, may she be released?
She may be released, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay, ma'am, you release your subpoena. You're free to go. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Please call your next witness.
Larius Moore.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give in this cause to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Sir, could you please tell us your full name?
Larius Moore.
Turn on, please, sir. And spell your first name, please.
Liderrius.
And your last name? Your last name.
Moore, Moore.
Thank you. Please proceed.
Good afternoon, Mr. Moore. Can you tell us how old you are, please?
22.
And are you currently employed, sir?
Yes, sir.
And where do you work, Mr. Moore?
I work for remodeling houses.
I'm sorry, could you say that again?
I remodel homes.
Okay. I'm going to ask you to speak up just a little bit because we all need to hear everything you say, okay?
Yes.
Mr. Moore, I'm going to refer you back to a period of time prior to May of 2009. Did you meet someone who became known to you as Jasmine Bedwell?
Yes, sir.
And can you please tell the jury how you met Ms. Bedwell?
I met Jasmine at Sunoco gas station on Fletcher and 23rd.
And what were you doing at the gas station?
Me and my brother was up there getting gas.
And how did you meet Ms. Bedwell at the gas station?
She was walking with her cousin, and both of them had their babies.
Okay. Did Ms. Bedwell have her baby in a stroller?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, I'm going to refer you to a date, May 5th of 2009. And do you remember that date and the significance of that date?
Not right offhand.
Okay. Do you recall the date or the specific day when Ms. Bedwell's baby was killed?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Prior to that date when the baby was killed, how long was it before that you met Ms. Bedwell?
I'll say like 5 or 6 days.
Okay, so it was just a few days?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What happened at that first meeting at the gas station?
We just was talking, and I asked her her name. She gave me her name. I gave her my name, and we exchanged numbers.
And after that first meeting, having exchanged phone numbers, did you talk to Ms. Bedwell on the phone?
Yes, sir.
How often would you speak with her on the phone?
A little text. We did more texting than talking.
Okay. So you would exchange text messages?
Yes.
How often would you exchange text messages with Ms. Bedwell?
I can't even say right offhand.
Was it something, would you be in contact with her either by phone or by text message every day? And let's just limit this for now to the time period between when you first met Ms. Bedwell and the time that her baby was killed, okay? Did you have contact with her on a daily basis?
Yes.
Okay. Was it several times a day or just once a day to check in?
Several.
Okay. Between the time that you first met Ms. Bedwell and the time that her baby was killed, did you see her in person?
No.
Okay, so you just met her that first time at the gas station, and that was the only time that you saw her prior to the night before her baby was killed?
Correct.
I'm going to refer you to May the 4th, the day before the baby was killed. Did you have some contact by phone with Ms. Bedwell on that date?
No.
Did she call you or did you call her?
What, that night?
On May the 4th, yes.
The May the 4th when her baby was like...
It would have been the day before. Were some arrangements made on May the 4th for you to pick up Ms. Bedwell to bring her to your apartment?
Yes.
And can you tell the jury how that happened, Mr. Moore?
We had set up arrangements to chill at my house or whatever and watch some movies, and I had called her and asked her, can she come to my house and chill and watch movies or whatever, and she was like, yes. And so I came to her house and picked her up, me and my god sister.
You and your god sister?
Yes, sir.
And who drove to her house?
My god sister.
And what's your god sister's name?
Keezy.
Had you ever been to Ms. Bedwell's apartment complex before?
No, sir.
Do you recall where her apartment complex was?
Yes.
Can you tell the jury where her apartment complex was?
On 15th in Marbella.
Now, when you got to Marbella Apartments with your god sister, what happened?
When we got there, we was approached by the police, and there was a lot going on that day, and so police had came up and
Did something happen with your god sister?
yes, my god sister got arrested. She had a warrant for her arrest, and so they had arrested her, and I had to call my other god sister to come get her truck because there wasn't nobody else to drive.
So were you able to make some other arrangements to get Ms. Bedwell back back
Yes, sir.
to your apartment?
Correct.
All right. And were you eventually able to do that?
Yes, sir.
Did Ms. Bedwell have her baby with her?
Yes, sir.
And can you tell us how she was transporting the baby?
In the bed, in a car seat.
Okay. Can you describe the car seat for us?
It was just a normal car seat.
Was it one of those car seats that it just snaps in, or you strap it in the car? And
You
carry
strap it in the car.
Okay. Where did you live at the time, Mr. Moore?
I lived in Silver Palms Apartments.
And who lived there with you?
Me, my mom, and my brother.
And what was your brother's name?
Isaiah.
Now, did Isaiah live there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. When you got to Ms. Bedwell's apartment, where did you meet her?
At her door.
And so she was already inside her apartment?
Yes, sir.
And when you went to meet Ms. Bedwell, did you go inside the apartment?
I didn't go all the way in. I was just at the front door.
Okay. Can you tell us about what time it was when you arrived at Marbella to pick up Ms. Bedwell?
I don't know for sure.
Was it still in the evening?
It was in the evening time, yes, sir.
Do you recall whether or not it was dark?
No, it wasn't.
All right, it was light out? And are you eventually able to get Ms. Bedwell back to your apartment?
Yes, sir.
And when you got back to your apartment, you said you had another god sister who went with you?
Yes, sir.
Did she stay at the apartment or did she leave?
She left.
And was your brother there?
He wasn't there the whole time.
Was he there when you got back with Jasmine?
No,
Okay. What about your mother?
she wasn't there neither. But she had went to the store, then came back home.
Can you tell us about how long it is to drive from Jasmine's apartment, from Ms. Bedwell's apartment at the time at Marbella, to where you lived at Silver Palms?
Not even 10 minutes away.
What did you do that night at your apartment?
We just chilled and watched movies, and she fell asleep and I fell asleep. And when she woke up, she had looked at her phone and realized what time it was, and that's when she was like, that it's time for her to go home. She wanted to walk home. And I was like, no, you can't do that. It's too late at night.
Let me stop you. Did you have any interaction with the baby that night?
Yes.
And tell us about that. What did you do with the baby?
Emmanuel, he was up playing. My brother had came back home. My brother played with Emmanuel for a little bit. I was playing with him. I put Emmanuel to sleep. When it was time for him to go to sleep, I fed him and everything.
And where did you put Emmanuel to sleep?
In my room, and then I placed him in his car seat when he had fell asleep.
Okay. Did Ms. Bedwell interact with the baby that night?
Yes.
Did you observe any injuries to the baby that night?
He had no injuries.
Okay. Was there a time that night when Ms. Bedwell left your apartment and then later came back?
No.
Okay, you don't recall that?
No.
Now, you said that you had fallen asleep and Ms. Bedwell had fallen asleep, and that at some point she woke up. Do you recall about what time that was?
It was around 12 or 1 o'clock.
Okay. What happened then, sir?
That's when she woke up and realized what time it was, and then she started complaining about, well, she wasn't complaining, but she was like, I got to get home because I got school in the morning. And then she wanted to walk home because there wasn't no other way for her to get to the house. So I called my mom and I asked her, can she take her home? And she was like, yes.
Now, was your mother, you said you had to call your mom.
Yes, sir.
Was your mother not home at that time?
Yeah, she went home at that time.
Okay.
You said she was or was not?
She wasn't. She had went to the store, then came back.
And when you called your mother, how far away was she?
Not even 5 minutes away.
Okay. And did she come back?
Yes.
Okay. And what happened when your mother came back?
When my mom came back, she was just like, Jasmine kept on telling her that she was gonna walk home there, and my mom was like, no, I'll take it.
So your mother didn't want her to walk home?
Correct.
Okay. And at some point, did your mother take Miss Bedwell back to Marbella Apartments?
Yes.
And did you go with them?
Yes, sir.
After Jasmine woke up and you called your mother and your mother came back to the apartment, how long a period of time was it between then and when you drove Jasmine back to Marbella?
I think it wasn't even much, 20 minutes.
Okay. And what happened when you got back to Marbella?
Got to Marbella. My mom parked the car. We both got out, approached the door, and she stuck the key in the door and unlocked the door, and she was the first one in the house, and I was right behind her with a manual.
Now, you said you were the first one behind her with a manual. How were you carrying a manual?
In a car seat.
And did you have it by, was there a handle?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can you tell us how far into the apartment you went?
I went to the dining room area.
Can I approach the witness, Your Honor?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Mr. Moore, I'm showing you what's been entered into evidence as State's Exhibit number 1. Do you recognize this?
Yes, sir.
Have you seen this before?
Yes, sir.
You recognize this as a diagram of Ms. Bedwell's apartment?
Yes, sir.
Can you please point out on this diagram how far you went into the apartment with the manual and the carrier?
Right here in this area.
And for the record, you're indicating the dining room area next to the table?
Yes, sir.
And what did you do with the carrier? Did you set it on the floor or on the table?
Yes, sir, on the floor.
And did you go any farther into the apartment than that?
No, sir.
And what happened next?
And that's when I set the manual down, that's when I gave Jasmine a hug, and I told her, see her tomorrow. And then once I left, I went home. Well, I went to the store, then I went home, and then that's when I got a phone call.
And without telling us what anyone told you, I'm going to refer you ahead to the next day. Did you learn through the news or somewhere else about what had happened to Ms. Bedwell's baby?
Yes, sir.
And during that day, do you recall meeting with some detectives?
Yes, sir.
And where did that meeting take place?
At they was looking for me at my apartment, but I had went to the office.
And about what time was? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. What did you say, sir?
I had met them at the police office.
Okay. And did your mother go with you?
Yes, sir.
Do you recall about what time this was?
No, sir.
Was it in the morning?
It was in the afternoon.
Afternoon? Okay. Now, after all this happened, did you continue to keep in contact with Ms. Bedwell?
Yes, sir.
And how often did you keep in contact with Ms. Bedwell?
Every chance I get.
Okay. And do you keep in contact with her up until today?
We haven't talked in a minute.
And when you say in a minute, sir, can you?
Like 2 years.
Okay. So when you say a minute, you don't mean 60 seconds. You're referring to a longer period of time?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And do I get from that you haven't spoken to Ms. Bedwell in 2 years?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that would take us back to sometime in 2011. Between the time that her baby died in 2009 up until 2011, did you continue to have a relationship with her?
Yes.
Was there a time when you were involved with her romantically, I mean, as her boyfriend?
Yes.
And was there any kind of relationship between yourself and Ms. Bedwell prior to her baby being killed?
No, sir.
Have you even seen each other in person up until that time?
Yes.
Except for that first meeting at the gas station?
Yes.
You had? Now, I thought you told me earlier that you'd only texted back and forth or talked on the phone.
Can you repeat that question, sir?
Yes, I'm sorry. Between the time of that first meeting, Ms. Bedwell, at the gas station, and the time that her baby was killed, had you spoken face-to-face or met face-to-face?
No, sir.
Okay. Well, so between that time, after the baby was killed up until 2011, you were in contact with her?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And did you have a sexual relationship with Ms. Bedwell during that time?
After what time? After the time Emmanuel passed?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. May I have a moment, please?
Yes.
Pass the witness, Your Honor.
Did you pick out a question, sir?
Thank you, Your Honor. May it please the court, counsel. Say now you haven't seen her in 2 years, but it's fair for me to presume your relationship continued with her for about 2 years, from 2009 till 2011.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Back at the beginning of your testimony here today and talking about when you originally went to meet up with Miss Bedwell, you said, and I believe these were your words, there was a lot going on that day.
Yes.
Tell me what a lot going on that day means.
A lot. Like, it was a fight that broke out earlier that day, and apartments was full of people, and bottles was everywhere, and I said it was a fight broken out in apartments that day. And
At your apartments?
Yes, sir. And there was bottles everywhere, and I just stayed in the house, and I ain't had nothing else to do, so that's why I called Jasmine to come over.
What time was it that you called Jasmine?
I don't know.
You don't know?
It was during the evening time.
Was it after 4 o'clock?
It was before 4 o'clock.
Before 4 o'clock.
Yes.
So was it afternoon?
Yes, sir.
Was it after 1?
It was after 1, yes.
Was it after 2 o'clock in the afternoon?
It was around 2, yes.
Around 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yes.
That's when you first called Jasmine.
Yes.
And when you called her at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, is that when you decided that you were going to get together?
Yes.
And did you tell her you were going to come pick her up?
Yes.
Did you know where her house was or her apartment was at that time?
No, sir.
But about 2 p.m. is when you talked to her.
Yes.
When you talked to her at 2 p.m., what was the plan that you told her of what was going to happen?
I was going to go back to my house and watch movies and chill.
And what time did you tell her that was going to occur?
We didn't have a time.
Did you say after dinner, before dinner, in the afternoon? When did you suggest it was going to occur?
When we got off the phone, it was like, say like an hour or two after.
So it was an hour or two after 2 p.m. when you got together.
Yes.
So an hour or two after 2 p.m. would have been either 3 or 4 o'clock.
Yes.
Is that, well, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, I'm just trying to understand.
Yes.
Okay. When you talked to Jasmine about getting together, did you have an understanding about whether, when you got together, she was going to bring her baby, Emmanuel, with her?
Yes. She said she was going to bring him.
Do you recall her having a conversation with you about potentially checking with one of her neighbors or cousins about watching the baby when she came to be with you?
No, sir.
You don't recall that?
No, sir.
Before you met with her at what would have been 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, had you talked or texted with her anymore?
No, because she was already with me.
She was already waiting.
Yes.
How do you know she was already waiting?
Because I told her I was on my way.
And how did you do that? By phone or text? And I know that's really the same thing. By calling her and talking to her or by texting to her?
I don't remember, sir.
But you communicated with her both ways.
Yes.
Before the time that you agreed to go and meet with her to watch movies, do you know what she had been doing in the day?
No, sir.
Had she talked to you or texted with you about her plans for what she had been doing earlier in the day?
No, sir.
Were you aware at any time of Jasmine Bedwell having an appointment or schedule to be at a court hearing that day,
No,
earlier
sir.
in the day?
Objection, may we approach?
Approach bench. Party in Russia, please proceed.
So yes or no question for you, Mr. Moore. Were you aware of the fact that on that day, May 4th, the day before the baby died, that Jasmine Bedwell had an appointment to be at court?
No, sir.
On that day, May 4th, the day before the baby died, were you aware of whether or not Miss Bedwell was or was not at school that day?
I don't believe so.
No, the question was, were you aware of it, yes or no?
No.
Okay, ask another question.
When you went to pick up Miss Bedwell at what would have been 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, you told her you were coming by phone or text, and when you got there, she was not up front. Is that correct?
Correct.
And you'd gone there with your godmother, who you...
God sister.
I apologize. With your god sister, who you said was Keezy.
Correct.
And what's Keezy's last name?
I don't know.
You don't know her last name?
No, sir.
She's your god sister?
Yes.
Okay. And how was it that Keezy came to be the person who took you to go over to Miss Bedwell's house?
Because I asked her.
You called her?
Yes.
The distance from where you lived to where Miss Bedwell lived, is that a distance that you could walk?
It's a distance that you can walk, but I don't want to take that distance.
It's too far for you to want to walk.
Yes.
Okay. And it's from her house, or from your house to where her house. Have you ever walked that distance before?
No, sir.
When you got over to the house with your god sister, you went to the house and that's where you found Miss Bedwell, correct?
Yes.
But before you could get inside, the police stopped Keezy
Correct.
and they put her in jail.
Yes.
And how long was it for the process of after you got there until the time that she was put in custody by the police?
I don't know, sir.
Well, was it minutes, an hour?
It was like an hour.
And after that hour was up, then that's when you called your other god sister?
I had already called her when the police had came and detained her.
How long was it until your other god sister got there?
Like 15 minutes.
So that would have been like 3:15 or 4:15.
Correct.
And how long did you stay there until you left with your other god sister?
Until they had said it's okay for us to go.
So until then, the police had said you had to stay there.
Correct.
So you had already gone in to meet Miss Bedwell before the police detained you?
They didn't detain me.
Okay, detained whoever was detained. Well, you said until we were free to go.
Correct. Because they were searching the truck.
Okay. But you were free to go?
Yes.
But you waited until they finished with that?
Yes.
And then did they take the truck?
No.
The truck stayed there.
Correct.
How did your other god sister get there?
She had one of her friends to drop her off.
And then she drove the truck.
Correct.
So how long was it that you stayed there with the truck?
We stayed there with the truck for like an hour and 15 minutes.
Okay, so that would have been until 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
I'm assuming so.
Was it still light?
Yes.
And after the time that the police finished and said you were free to go, is that when you left to go back to your apartment?
Yes.
When you had left to go meet Miss Bedwell, was your mom at home?
She was at home, yes, sir.
She was home.
Yes.
And when you got back after your second god sister came to take you back home, was your mom home then?
My mom was home, then she left to the store.
About how long did she stay at home with you until she left to go to the store?
She was there for like an hour and a half.
And during that hour and a half that you were there together, who else was at the house?
My brother, came back also.
Which brother?
Isaiah.
And about what time was it when Isaiah got back to the house?
I don't know what time, sir.
Okay. Was it, you don't have any estimate of time?
No, sir.
Do you know if it was before or after 5 o'clock?
It was after 5 o'clock.
Do you know if it was before or after 7 o'clock?
It was before 7 o'clock.
So before 7 o'clock, Isaiah left.
Yes.
And was Isaiah living there at the house where you and your mom lived at that time?
Yes.
Or was he was living there?
Yes.
He wasn't living someplace else?
No, sir.
So when he left, how long did he stay gone?
He stayed gone for like 30 minutes, then came back.
And during that time, was your mom there?
Yes.
And Jasmine?
Yes.
And Emmanuel?
Yes.
And after your brother came back, how long was it until your mother left?
It's like, say like 20 minutes.
So about what time was it that you believe your mother left from the house?
It was around like, say like 6:40.
About 6:40, Mom left.
Yes.
And how long was it until your mom came back to the house? Whenever she came back after leaving at 6:40, what time was it when she came back to the house?
It was like 6:45, 6:50.
So she was only gone for a few minutes.
Yes.
Where had she gone?
To the corner store.
Okay, do you know what she picked up there? Did she come back with something?
I believe so.
You don't remember what that was?
No, sir.
Was Isaiah still there at that time?
No, he had left.
Okay. Did you have dinner with Jasmine that night?
No.
Did you have dinner with your mom that night?
No.
Did you have dinner with Isaiah that night?
No, sir.
Did you have dinner with anybody?
No, sir.
And did you ever see Jasmine have dinner?
No, sir.
Or your mom?
No.
Or Isaiah?
No.
What time was it when your mom next left from the house?
She didn't leave the house again.
She stayed home.
Yes.
So she came back home, and that would have been at about 6:40 or 6:50, or sorry, 6:45 or 6:50, you said.
Yes.
And after your mom came back at 6:45, did she ever leave the house again for the remainder of that night?
She left the house. I don't remember where she went because I called her.
About what time do you think it is that she left the house?
I'm not quite sure, sir.
I mean, minutes later or hours later?
I think it was minutes later.
Like closer to 7?
Yes.
Was it before or after 8 o'clock?
It was before 8 o'clock.
Was it before or after 7 o'clock, if you recall?
No, sir.
You don't recall,
I don't recall.
but you know it was before 8 o'clock.
Yes.
And after your mom left before 8 o'clock, how long was it until she returned to the house? I think you said you had to call her, correct?
Yes.
You recall about what time that was?
It was like, I say it was like 8 something.
She left around 8 and she returned at 8 something.
Correct.
After she returned to the house at 8 something, did she ever leave the house again that night?
No, sir.
She remained home.
Yes.
And she remained home there with you and Jasmine?
Jasmine.
I'm sorry.
Jasmine, my brother, and Emmanuel.
So after 8 something, all 4 of you were there along at the house together. You, Isaiah, Jasmine, your mother, and the baby, Emmanuel.
Yes.
After 8 something.
Yes.
After that time, what did you and Jasmine do?
Just watch movies.
Did you watch movies in the living room or did you watch movies someplace else?
Watch movies in my room. Because first we was in the living room, then we went to my room.
When did you go to your room?
When she was getting tired,
About what time was that?
I'm not quite sure.
Well, was it before or after midnight?
Before midnight.
And you said you had rocked the baby and given him a bottle.
Yes, sir.
Was that before or after you went into the bedroom?
After we went in the bedroom.
Before you had gone into the bedroom with Jasmine, had Jasmine ever left your house for any reason?
No, sir.
Do you recall Jasmine having left your house saying she needed to get baby formula? Do you remember a conversation about that?
I believe so.
You do recall that?
Yes, sir.
So she did leave.
Yes, sir.
When did she leave the house?
I'm not quite sure, sir. I don't know the time limit.
Well, about what time was it?
It was about 9, I think.
Is it dark outside?
It wasn't that dark, but it was like, it was still a little bit daylight.
Could have been later than 9 o'clock? Or was around 9 as you
It
recall?
was 9.
And did she leave by herself?
Yes.
And was the baby with you?
Yes.
Who else was there at the house with you and the baby after Jasmine left?
Me, my mom, and my brother.
Were you still in the living room at that time?
Yes, sir.
So you and your mom and Isaiah and the baby all would have been in the living room while Jasmine was gone.
Correct.
It was after she got back that you went into the bedroom.
Yes, sir.
About how long was she gone?
Not even 20 minutes.
And where is it you believe she was walking to? Her apartment?
I'm not quite sure. She didn't say exactly where she was going at.
When she left, did she have anything in her hands?
Her purse,
And when she returned, did she have anything other than her purse in her hands?
a bag of formula.
So she left with a purse and she returned with a purse and a bag of formula.
Yes.
Is that because the baby needed to eat?
Yes.
Had he been fussy and crying?
He was crying, but not that much.
The time that Jasmine was gone, when she left with her purse and came back with her purse and a bag with formula in it, was she gone for long enough of a time to have walked from where you lived to Marbella Apartments and to walk back again?
It'd probably take longer if you walked to Marbella and back, it'll probably take longer than that.
About how long do you think it would have taken to walk to Marbella and back?
At least 30.
Because earlier, when the police had stopped you, it would have been possible to have just walked back to your house, right?
Correct.
But you thought it was too far to walk.
Yes.
But you don't know where Jasmine had gone to get the formula.
I'm assuming to the store because she came back with a bag.
When she got back to the apartment or house, did she make the baby a bottle
Yes, sir.
with the formula that she had brought?
Yes.
And then what happened?
That's when she sat on the bed and I hit play on the movie, and then that's when I was holding the manual and then she made this bottle and I started feeding her.
So you were feeding him.
Yes, sir.
So your recollection is she went and got formula, brought it back in a bag, made a bottle, and you were feeding Emmanuel.
Yes.
And that she was there while that was occurring.
Yes.
And how long was it that you all watched movies?
The whole night until she fell asleep.
How long was that till?
Till like 12, 1 o'clock.
How many movies did you watch until 12 or 1 o'clock?
We watched like 2 movies,
Remember what you watched?
2 or 3 movies. No, sir.
Did you fall asleep ever?
Yes, sir.
She fell asleep as far as you knew?
Yeah, she fell asleep first.
And then you fell asleep.
Correct.
Then how did you next wake up?
I had woke up first because I had to use the restroom, and then that's when she had woke up and was going through her phone.
She went through her phone?
Yes, sir.
So when you say going through her phone, what do you mean by that?
Like she was in her phone.
In her phone checking text messages?
I have no idea, sir.
Did you see her looking at her phone?
Yes.
Did you see her listening to her phone like she was listening to voicemail messages? Did you ever see
No,
her do
sir.
that? When you say she was in her phone, you looked like she was looking at it.
Yes.
Did she look away like she was texting back on her phone?
No, sir.
You just saw her seeming to read her phone.
Yes.
And after that occurred, what happened next?
Then that's when she was like, that she was ready to go home, that she got school in the morning.
Is the baby still asleep?
Yes, sir.
The baby sleeping on the bed or in his car seat?
In his car seat.
Had you seen whether or not Ms. Bedwell had brought diapers for the baby when she had come over?
Yes, sir.
Had she changed Emmanuel's diaper along the way? During the evening?
She changed him when he was there, yes.
More than one time?
Yes.
And when he woke up at that time and she was saying she wanted to go home because of school, did she change his diaper then?
He didn't wake up.
So he was still asleep.
Yes, sir.
So you're presuming she did not change it because he was asleep.
I'm assuming so, sir.
All right. And when she said she wanted to go home, what did you say to her next?
She was like, I'm finna walk home. I was like, no, I asked my mom. And my mom was like, no, she don't need to walk home. I'll take her.
Where was your mom when you went and asked her to take her home?
My mom, I think my mom was in her room then.
What time was that?
It was around 12, 1 o'clock in the morning.
12 or 1. And when you talked to her, did she then take Jasmine home?
Yes, sir, both of us.
Around 12 or 1.
Yes, sir.
About how long did it take from the time you said she needed a ride until y'all were loading up the car and going?
Like 10 minutes.
And how long did it take to drive from where you were at Silver Palms to Marbella?
Like 10, 15 minutes.
10 or 15 minutes to drive?
Yes. Not even.
Well, you thought Jasmine walked down and back in 30 minutes, so would it have taken less time to drive? Or
Yes.
So it was less time.
Yes.
When you went down there, where were you sitting in the car?
Me and Jasmine was in the back seat, and Emmanuel was in the middle.
In the back seat.
Yes, sir.
And your mom was driving?
Yes, sir.
Was Emmanuel awake or asleep as you were driving back to her house?
He was asleep.
Slept the whole way?
Yes.
Who gave your mom directions of how to get back to Marbella?
She did.
Jasmine?
Yes.
And your mom pulled into the parking lot?
Yes, sir.
And did Jasmine tell her where to park?
Yes.
And did she park near where Jasmine's apartment was?
Yes.
Do you remember if there were a lot of cars in the parking lot or not many cars in the parking lot?
Not that many.
Not that many?
No, sir.
Did you see anybody either sitting in a car or standing out in the parking lot in any way?
No, sir.
Did all the cars appear to you to be empty?
Yes.
There was no indication that somebody was sitting out there in any car?
No, sir.
Where your mom parked, was your mom's car facing in the direction of where Jasmine's apartment was?
Yeah, she parked like where you could look straight down the hallway.
From where your mom was parked, you could see straight down the hallway to where you had already been, to Jasmine's apartment.
Correct.
And were her headlights still on?
Yes, sir.
Did she put her brights on?
No, she just had her headlights on.
Okay. And when you got out of the car, you got out with Jasmine and the baby, Emmanuel.
Yes, sir.
And did you walk with Jasmine to her apartment, or did she just walk on her own?
I walked with her.
Who carried the baby?
I did.
And did your mom stay in the car, or did mom get out?
She stayed in the car.
And when she stayed in the car and you walked down to the hallway, did y'all just walk at a normal pace?
Yes, sir.
Just normal walking, not running or rushing in any way?
Just walking.
And did you notice anybody outside at that time?
No, sir.
Did you hear anybody outside, voices talking, or anybody in the area?
No, sir.
I know it's the middle of the night, but you didn't see anybody outside.
No, sir.
When you got to the apartment, you demonstrated to Mr. Gale of where you walked in and placed the baby seat inside of the apartment. Is that correct?
Correct.
And did you undo the straps on the baby on the car seat, or did you not undo the straps?
No, sir.
Did you observe Jasmine undoing the straps on the car seat?
No, sir.
So you don't believe they were undone?
No, sir.
Had the straps on the car seat been on the baby while you were driving over there with the baby?
Yes, sir.
And had you or somebody checked on that before he was driven over there?
Yes, sir.
Was that you?
Yes.
So you know that he had the straps on?
Yes.
And you didn't undo them at the house, and Jasmine didn't undo them at the house?
No, sir.
And you set the baby down?
Correct.
Did the baby still seem to be sleeping?
Yes, sir.
He was sitting in the car seat when you put him on the floor,
Yes, sir.
and he appeared to be sleeping.
Yes, sir.
After you'd walked in, you were with Jasmine?
Yes, sir.
What did you say to Jasmine at that point?
I said, all right, then. Once I sat Emmanuel down on the ground, I was like, all right, then. I'll see you tomorrow. And then she was like, all right. Then I gave her a hug, and then I left after that.
Did you give her a kiss along with the hug, or just a hug?
Just a hug.
And where were you and her when you gave her the hug? Near the car seat?
Yes, sir.
Or near the front door?
Near the car seat.
Was there anybody else in the apartment that you saw?
Not that I recall.
Did you hear anybody else in the apartment that you recall?
No, sir.
Did you see any signs in the apartment that somebody else might be in there?
No, sir.
After you gave Jasmine a hug, how long was it until you left?
I had left as soon as when I left out of that house.
Okay. Did you lock the door on your way out, or did you notice whether Jasmine locked the
She
door on
locked
your
the
way
door
out? How do you know she locked the door?
because I heard it
After you had already gone outside?
after she closed the door. For me leaving out the house, she locked the door.
You heard the sound of it locking?
Yes.
After you heard the sound of the door locking, were you just outside of the door? Or were you walking back to the
I was
car?
walking back to the car.
but you were able to hear the door lock, the sound of the lock being turned.
Correct.
As you were walking back towards the car, and after the time you had heard the lock being turned, that sound of the locking, did you hear anything else?
No, sir.
Did you hear a thump or a bang or anything at all?
I hear nothing, sir.
Did you ever hear Jasmine cry out in any way?
No, sir.
Did you hear the baby crying? You didn't
I
hear
heard
anything.
nothing.
Sound of a lock, then you walked to a car where your mom was.
Yes, sir.
When you got back out to the parking lot, did you observe any other cars that were in the parking lot that hadn't been there before?
No, sir.
Not that you remember. That was no?
That's a no.
And did you walk back to your car at a normal pace? You weren't running or jogging or something, you just walked back to your car?
Walk back to the car at a normal pace.
And when you got back to the car, you got in with your mom, did you all drive straight home or did you go someplace else?
We went to the store, then we went home.
Where'd you go to the store?
I went to the store at Sunoco.
What'd you get at Sunoco?
I had got me an Arizona sweet tea and a bag of hot chips, and we went home.
Found out the baby had died, did you help Jasmine with funeral arrangements?
Yes.
You attended the funeral?
Yes.
Your caseworkers helped facilitate that for you, help you get there to the funeral?
Yes, sir.
One moment, Charlie. No additional questions, Your Honor. Thank you.
You redirect?
Mr. Moore, at this time, we know you were in regular contact by phone, either by text message or otherwise with Ms. Bedwell on a daily basis, correct?
Yes, sir.
Did you have her phone number programmed into your phone?
Now?
Then?
Then, yes.
Okay. And when she would call you, would her name come up, or what would happen?
Yes. Her name will pop up.
Okay. And what name did you have programmed into your phone for her?
Jazz.
Okay. Now, the morning of May 5th, after you dropped Ms. Bedwell off at Marbella Apartments, after you got home with your mother, did you get a call from Jasmine's phone?
After I dropped her off?
Yes.
Yes.
And did it come up Jazz
Yes.
on your phone?
Yes.
When you answered the phone, was it a male voice or a female voice?
Male voice.
And approximately how long had you been home when this occurred?
I was at home for like 2 hours.
Okay, this is about 2 hours after you got home?
Yes.
All right. Can you tell us what your phone number was then?
It was a 727 number. That's all I remember.
Would it refresh your memory if you could look at a report that was made at the time this happened?
Yes.
May we approach, Your Honor?
Yes, sir. So,
I'm going to ask you to take a look at the top of that page and tell me if you're able to refresh your recollection with regard to what your phone number was at the time.
Yeah, that's my old number.
excuse me, listen to his question.
Does that refresh your recollection as to what your phone number was?
Yes.
Ask a question.
And what was your phone number at that time, sir?
727-557-9940.
557-9940?
Yes, sir.
I have no further questions. questions, Your Honor.
This gentleman will be released from subpoena. State,
Yes, sir.
counsel.
I would ask that you remain in the subpoena, Your Honor.
Mr. Moore, you're free to leave and go about your business. You're still under subpoena. If anybody needs you, they'll get a hold of you again, but you're still subject to coming back if they need you, all right? Thank you very much. You're free to go. All right, members of the jury, we're very close to the hour and a half mark. Let's go ahead and take our recess now. We'll try to resume again, say at 3 o'clock, all right? Please don't discuss the case during the break.
All rise for the speaker's report to the jury.
Okay, I'll be sure we'll be in recess till say 3 o'clock.